Hey, so I'm in Port Moody, Canada right now. I just came to the mainland from Victoria to visit my grandma, who I think is 92 years old, and she's living in a care center. I guess it's one of the main reasons why I came back to Canada was to visit her. Now I'm just walking to the SkyTrain station back from my aunt's place through this interesting little park here. I don't remember the name, but I heard that there are sometimes bears in this area, so hopefully we'll get lucky and see one. So for this video, I am planning on talking about whether or not it's a good idea to quit your job and travel the world. And I think that there are some considerations when answering this question. Some videos I've seen have, or not video, I mean articles as well, have really recommended this and said this is a great thing to do, and that everybody would be better off if they did actually quit their job and travel the world. The first thing I would say that you really need to answer, if you are thinking about in fact doing this, is whether or not you could be happy if you actually lived your entire life without going on a long-term travel adventure. So some people are perfectly satisfied just going on more short-term vacations, spending a few weeks a few weeks away from home, from whatever hey guys, whatever time they get off work. And I'd say that if you aren't 100% sure that you need to travel the world and fulfill all your different travel dreams, then I'd say no, it's a terrible idea to quit your job and travel the world. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad idea to go on a long-term travels. If those travels actually coordinate with your lifestyle somehow. So if you work remotely, even if you work remotely, even if you have no interest in traveling, you might get a lot of benefits from getting up and moving to a much cheaper country, or just have some kind of interesting experience somewhere, even if you don't feel you absolutely need to. But this video is not for people like that. It's for people who are actually considering quitting their job. I would say that's really only a reasonable option if you actually value traveling more than your career, which, I mean, I do, right? Or I don't know if I still do, but I value having the travel experience. The travel experiences I've had are more important than any career goal I could achieve. I guess I've had so much already that I could, change my focus up a little bit. Here's the view of the inlet. So if you are in that boat where having those travel experiences, going to whatever those countries might be, whether that's going through Europe or Southeast Asia or South America or traveling through Africa, the first question I would ask is, do you have at least 10,000 US dollars available that you're willing to invest in your travels? If you don't, you better have a pretty consistent source of income, because having less than 10,000 or some way that you're planning on earning money on the road, if you're like a street performer or something, you can probably earn some money. People have all kinds of crazy ways they do it. Some people earn some money. I've heard people will buy Apple products and sell them in the country they go to. There's all kinds of different ways people earn cash. The point is, if you don't have a reliable, consistent source of cash flow, and whatever that might be, whether that's a pension, I mean, people come up with all kinds of creative ways to earn money, so I don't have any, I don't really believe in limitations on that in terms of how you can, I mean, I've met people who've earned money all kinds of crazy ways. You'd really be surprised how much money someone can hustle up in a short period of time. But if you don't have a reliable way of earning cash, and you don't have at least $10,000 you're prepared to invest, your trip's going to be pretty short. I guess you can try to rely on couch surfing and woofing and stuff like that, but you end up spending money. That's the reality. Is even if you go at a real budget kind of traveler, as a real kind of budget traveler, you want to have at least 10K that's available that you're prepared to spend. And to say you really do, if you don't have that 10K, don't even think about it. You don't have that reliable cash flow, don't even think about it. Let's say you do have that 10K, then you want to ask, are you really prepared to are you really prepared to live on an extreme budget? Because 10K it can last you 8 months, it can last you a year, if you're prepared to live on to make it worth it. I mean, I would say quitting your job, it's probably 6 months might be worth it, depending on what kind of job you have. But if you have a good job, you'd have to travel for a pretty long time for it to be worth it. Are you willing to go on real budgets? Are you willing to stay in shared rooms, or are you willing to rent by the month? Are you willing to go on to really cheap buses, or maybe spend a lot of time in each location to save money? Are you willing to eat street food most of the time? Are you able to eat street food most of the time? Are you willing to not drink very much? Because drinking is extremely expensive, especially when you go out to clubs. Obviously, it's not very expensive if you're going to convenience stores and just buying the liquor. So again, I would say if you're not willing to travel on that extreme budget, you're probably going to need a lot more money than that if you're trying to travel. I mean, if you're trying to travel for a year or 8 months and you're not on a real budget, you might want to have about 40,000 USD. And that's if you're in developing countries, I'd say. If you're planning on traveling on a high budget in developed countries, I mean, I don't even know how much that would cost. Maybe $300 a day or more would be a pretty good minimum to set. So that'd be it'd be 100K to travel high budget in first world in developed countries for a whole year, at least minimum. So if you don't have that 40K and you're not willing to travel on a budget, then don't do it. Don't quit your job. So the main point of this video is that this advice that's widely given on the internet, quit your job and travel, is absolute BS. Ignore it. Don't quit your job and travel unless you actually have, the money that you need, and you have that desire that, don't quit your job and travel because someone tells you to. Because you read some article that there's benefits to traveling, or that you're supposed to do it. Like my dream to travel the world started when I was 2 years old. Right? This is not like something I just decided out of the blue because I read some clickbait article. Right? Like this is not because I feel like I'm supposed to travel the world, or it's the thing to do, right? My grandma would tell me stories about traveling the world, and made up this character who went to all these different places. I actually wrote an article about it on my blog. I put the link in the description to this video. But some people, there are plenty of people like me who just have to travel the world, right? There's nothing, if we never did, we would be seriously unhappy. And I think that goes for a lot of other goals in life. For some people, that's becoming a rock star, right? Some people, if
if they're never able to play some kind of sport or do some all kinds of different things. It doesn't, you know, some people, they feel like they're supposed to travel or something when they're young, and maybe if your lifestyle really affords that for some reason, like you have a remote job or you have a break in between jobs, then go for it. But if you don't have that really strong desire, like a lot of us do have, just don't do it. Don't quit your job and travel the world. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit the notification button. I'll talk to you guys soon.